Aaron Wiggins talks about the elite defensive trio that the Oklahoma City Thunder could have this year. And today, I want to talk about why the OKC Thunder's defense may not just be elite, but they may have one of the best, if not the best, perimeter defense in the NBA with the addition of Alex Caruso, who I think could be on pace for a Defensive Player of the Year award. Let's talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm one of the hosts there, Haize. More importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And so, as many people know that have been watching the channel, many of you guys probably even came over to the channel from being me being a Bulls fan. I am a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. I've been a Bulls fan my whole entire life, never switched up, never switched with the team. Many people probably think that I should because, hey, the Bulls have seen much better days. But with that said, one of my favorite players on the Bulls team in the last couple of years have been Alex Caruso, who's now gone over to the OKC Thunder, who the Thunder have now replaced Josh Giddey with Alex Caruso. And I want to talk about how the acquisition of Alex Caruso could push the OKC Thunder to have one of the best defensive teams in the league, which they already were. They had the second best defensive rating in the league last season. And when you look at how the acquisition of Alex Caruso has added to the things that the OKC Thunder have already done well, we're going to break that down a little bit. Now, Aaron Wiggins was talking about his teammates in Alex Caruso and Lou Dort and just how those guys compare to bring one of the best point-of-attack defenses in the NBA. Say this. Talk about point-of-attack defenders. Those guys are the elite of the elite. Case and Wallace, I throw them in there too. You match them up with anybody with the ball in their hands and almost count on them to get any stop. Being able to watch those guys and see how they maneuver, get around screens, guard the ball one-on-one, change their direction and agility, and the way they guard the ball is one of a kind. So I admire their abilities to try to mimic their movements and stuff. I'm not them, but I try to be. Now, with that said, how good can this OKC Thunder team be, and why do I feel confident that Alex Caruso is going to help take one of the already best defensive teams in the league and help strengthen already what they did well while maybe being on pace to win a Defensive Player of the Year award? When you look at it, right, the Oklahoma City Thunder were fourth in the league in defensive rating last year at 112.1. Minnesota Timberwolves led that with 109 even with defensive rating. By the way, the lower number for defensive rating is the better number. But then when you get deeper into the weeds, and this may be very basketball nerdy for some, the Oklahoma City Thunder were second in the league in deflections last year at 1,328 deflections on the season last year. Now, that is a really good number when you look down to it, and that is something that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the best players in regards to deflections last year. He actually was third in the NBA, 3.5 deflections per game last season. Alex Caruso actually came in at number one with 3.7. This is why I say that Alex Caruso is adding to what the OKC Thunder already did well. Alex Caruso also was second in the league in overall deflection last year with 265, coming only second to De'Aaron Fox at 270. Alex Caruso is one of the better point-of-attack defenders in the league. And when you keep in mind as well with the Chicago Bulls, Alex Caruso was actually guarding a lot of fours as he became the Bulls starting power forward last year. This team with the OKC Thunder is not only going to be able to get the best version of Alex Caruso with already having a solid defensively Chet Holmgren there at the 4 and Isaiah Hartenstein at number 5, which is going to free him up to play more free safety in a way for that OKC Thunder team. There's a lot of reason to believe that Alex Caruso is not only going to be able to add to already what the OKC Thunder did well, which is something I've been highlighting here, but also get the best out of his game by playing a more natural position at being able to stay guarding 1, 2s, and 3s at the next level. He may not even have to guard 4s, but if he does, having Lou Dort there as well, right, and being able to have another versatile player on the wing with what already the solid defense you're going to have from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the two other aforementioned players, the OKC Thunder were one of the better offensive teams in the league last year. You're now adding defense to that as well. Alex Caruso was fifth in the NBA, tied for fifth amongst like 5 players as the most loose balls recovered as well last season. And then he was number 7 in the overall number there at 73 as well. Alex Caruso is going to a team that's perfectly suited for what he does. And also, make no mistake about it, while you're replacing Josh Giddey with Alex Caruso theoretically in that starting lineup, which is fine to do, one thing that Alex Caruso does, he does not create open shots like Josh Giddey did. Now, you're looking for Shai to do more of the creation, which is something that the OKC Thunder were already going to, so that's perfectly fine. You're getting a more suitable role player that also is better in catch-and-shoot threes than what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams were last year, so he can fit in there as well. And Alex Caruso is coming off one of his best seasons in regards to shooting the ball as well at 40% shooting, which is the best in the second best of his career, but the highest total he had was on 2 shots per game in 2018-19, where he shot 48% from the three-point line, but only taking 2 3-pointers a game. Last season was the highest volume of Alex Caruso's three-point shooting in his career, taking almost 5 3-pointers per game at 4.7 and hitting that at a 40% clip. With the gravity that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has and the other scoring threats they have here, Alex Caruso may not need to take that volume, that many three-point shots, but he's also adding to the offense. And that is something as well that is I think has been overlooked in talking so much about the defensive impact that Alex Caruso can bring to this OKC Thunder team. He's now adding even more than that. Oh, and by the way, the OKC Thunder were also second in the league in steals, first. They were tied for first at 694 last year, 10 more than any other team as far as steals. Alex Caruso gets you more steal opportunities. And oh, by the way, not to mention that Alex Caruso is a fierce finisher at the rim as well after creating the fast break, and a pretty damn solid passer as well. So Alex Caruso, you're adding a player that can start and generate fast breaks for you. He can finish on fast breaks for you. He can pass on fast breaks, and he only averages 1.2 turnovers a game for his NBA career. And he's going to theoretically have to do even less ball handling, but his situational ball handling, in the situations that you need Alex Caruso to handle the ball, he's going to be in a more prioritized position and role as well, being in a team with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the ball dominance that Shai is going to have with this team. In no way am I saying that it's just should be assumed that the OKC Thunder are going to have one of the best perimeter defenses in the league. The New York Knicks want to have a word with you on that. I am saying that they have the chance to be elite and even take it further than that. They could be the best when it comes down to it and the transition. That's where it gets special for this team at. Alex Caruso can help this team have a faster pace more naturally without forcing it. By the way, he's able to deflect. By the way, he's also able to get rebounds at that guard position, and the positional versatility that Alex Caruso brings at playing so many minutes at the last couple of years for the Chicago Bulls. It's always the moves that people kind of take for granted that end up impacting the most. And what Alex Caruso is bringing to that OKC Thunder team is basically everything that they need. Yes, he has his limitations. He has his shortcoming. Health has been something that you have to ask and question about with Alex Caruso. He's coming off a season where he played the most games in his NBA career at 71. But other than that, 67, 58, 64, 41, 37, 25. Alex Caruso does have a problem with some durability at times. But when you look at it, the OKC Thunder are ready to weather that storm if he does go down. And the question now becomes, how much can Alex Caruso stay healthy? And can he be healthy at the right time in the playoffs for this OKC Thunder team? I think that this Thunder team is going to have some of the best perimeter defense. And I also think that Alex Caruso could be in line for a Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, that typically is hard for guards to win. And you're going to have players like Wemby. You're going to have a lot of players that are favorites to have that Defensive Player of the Year award. And even if it does not, Alex Caruso is going to make a huge impact in the way stylistically that this OKC Thunder team play basketball and naturally get their offense. And so you got to look at that when it all comes down to it as well. And so I really do like what the OKC Thunder are building here with the acquisition. And like I said, I get it that the OKC, the Alex Caruso trade was one that most teams had the Thunder winning. And that's understandable because of them giving up Josh Giddey, a player that basically has been phased out, to get a player in here that's going to really help strengthen so much of what they do. But when you look at the pace being the 19th team in pace last season, you can see without this team needing to necessarily try to push the pace more, they're going to get a lot more opportunities for easy offense. And with the athletes, the scoring, and the half-court offense that they also can have even when the pace isn't being pushed, I'm telling you right now, this is a team to absolute watch next season. And I think that Alex Caruso is a candidate to get that Defensive Player of the Year award next year for the OKC Thunder. and just what they're building here offensively, defensively, the balance that they can have. I know I spent a lot of this time talking about Alex Caruso, and really, some people may say that it's glazed. They may say that I'm giving Alex Caruso too much credit for what a role player, a really good role player, can bring to this team. But again, to add to that, to the players that he's also coming to, Aaron Wiggins so far, he was the most efficient three-point shooter for the OKC Thunder last year, shooting at 49% as well. This team could be offensively and defensively in a way that the synergy between how their defense puts their offense in a better position could be great to watch. And I think whereas the OKC Thunder have added both Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso to this team, adding in two veteran pieces to a team that has been young and have young pieces that they can sell off for years and years to come, really look at what Alex Caruso does and will bring to this OKC Thunder team, and we'll see how it's going to continue to grow and develop. But I, for one, am super excited about what this team can be. And I think I'm not going to say they should be the favorites out west. I think that the West is going to be, as it always is, an interesting battle between a lot of different teams with a lot of different play styles, and they're going to get a lot of wins, especially over the Eastern Conference. But I think that this defense for the OKC Thunder could be special. And I know defense isn't something that a lot of casual NBA fans like to talk about, but it is important. And that's why I like to talk about how the defense can make the offense more exciting and easier on a team that was already damn good. Let me know what you guys think on that down below if you're on the YouTube side. Before we go, though, I got one more topic that I've been dying to talk to you guys about. This came out about 4 days ago. I'm trying to get in front of the camera and the mic to bring you guys and talk about this. Me and JB may still talk about it the next time we record together. But the New York Knicks, unable to complete the Karl Anthony Towns trade, used an interesting loophole that the NBA is not very happy about at all. So reportedly, the Knicks implemented it's a new loophole that was in the collective bargaining agreement. Keep in mind that was just negotiated, I think, before last season, maybe the season before that. And so it's something where the Knicks actually raised the salaries of Daquan Jeffries, Charlie Brown Jr., and DeJuan Washington Jr. in signing trades, right? In their signing trades, and raised them just $1 above the league minimum, which allowed the New York Knicks to meet the salary matching requirements to go around them being over that first tax apron. Because keep in mind, part of being over the second tax apron, part of that is that you cannot aggregate salaries to be able to match salaries. That's part of what being in that second tax apron is. So with the New York Knicks discovering that loophole, and this came out from The Athletic that said this, I've heard from various people that the league isn't thrilled about this, but such is the way it goes with the new CBAs. The NBA tries to close loopholes, but then smart people working for teams find new ones. So keep this in mind. With exploiting this loophole, the New York Knicks for $3 were able to complete a trade that completely changed or add a franchise-changing talent potentially to their team. Now, I know some people have some doubt about the fit of Karl Anthony Towns, what he's going to bring. Is he going to be able to bring enough defensively, those type of things. But for you to be able to add a talent like Karl Anthony Towns, not to say that they still gave up some things to get Karl Anthony Towns, right? But to give up a player that wasn't even there for your playoff run last year and to exploit a loophole, you got to continue to give credit for Leon Rose for playing checkers where a lot of other people are playing chess. Playing chess where a lot of other teams are playing checkers. And so at the end of the day, now it's reported that the league officials are going to be meeting to discuss this strategy and the precedents that it sets for for future trades that teams can make. This is a huge loophole, man. And keep in mind, so just to add to that rule, the teams are prohibited from aggregating multiple minimum salary contracts to facilitate trades. That rule was put into place that was designed to limit salary manipulation. Now, one of the stipulations as well that most people may not know about the NBA. In the NFL, for example, you can renegotiate contracts while the contracts are going on, right? In the NBA, you can renegotiate contracts, but what you don't typically see is that the only way that you can renegotiate a contract in the NBA is to raise a salary. And so for the Knicks to renegotiate salary should just raise it $1 above the league minimum, which then you can aggregate those salaries because they're not league minimum salaries. So it's the rule was basically designed to stop a team from taking a bunch of minimum salary players to then get players back that make considerably more and add to, like in this case, that's what they did. They took players that were making the league minimum, that they wouldn't have been able to add those salaries to Julius Randle to count towards matching Karl Anthony Towns' salary, but because they raised it $1 above the league minimum, it allowed them to then use those salaries to add to Julius Randle's salary to then match the salary of Karl Anthony Towns. That's what they did here. And that is something that that is a level of thinking that you got to give Leon Rose credit for. And if you're a New York Knicks fan and you hear that Leon Rose was so in tune, that him and his people, because I doubt it was just him, he probably has a team of people that were going over the CBA and trying to find where those loopholes can be in at, to exploit that loophole that then got you and was to help you facilitate landing Karl Anthony Towns. Again, that's chess where a lot of other teams are playing checkers. And that's something you definitely got to give it credit for, man. And yeah, I can't deny it. This is something that I really wish that the franchise I rooted for took some forward thinking like that. And that's what it takes. And listen, I know that some people are going to say, well, they use a loophole. How good is that they use a loophole? I want to be clear here. A lot of the major trades that you've seen over NBA history have been teams exploiting or using loopholes. That's just what it's been. I think even when you look at signing trades, that's in a way exploiting a loophole, right? As far as a team not having the salary cap space to sign a player outright, but they sign with their current team and then you trade them, that is originally a loophole. Now it's looked at as the norm, but that was originally a loophole. And so, yeah, some of these loopholes are just crazy. And I do think that the NBA is going to definitely do something as far as renegotiating salaries to maybe put a minimum on what you have to renegotiate if you're raising somebody's salary, because to be able to get over the NBA for $3 in total, $1 per player, that's a level of thinking that I tell you what, I'm sure more people wish that their franchise had that type of thought when it came down to it. So we'll see what happens with that. But the New York Knicks overall, I still like the trade of Karl Anthony Towns going to that team. How much it works, how much it doesn't work, we'll see when it comes down to it. But this is a time period where a lot of teams, preseason games have already started. We're getting excited about basketball, of course, again, because it's right around the corner from starting. Most teams have between 4 and 5 preseason games. So we're going to get through this preseason period over the next 2 weeks. And then NBA basketball is starting back. And, yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes down to that, man. We already got some drama brewing up with PJ Tucker and the Clippers agreeing to basically keep him away from the team as they work out a deal and deciding what his future. The quote came from this one from Shams. The Clippers and forward PJ Tucker have mutually agreed for the 13-year NBA veteran to be away from the team as sides work towards a resolution for his future. And the Clippers saying this: PJ is a pro who has achieved a lot in his career, and there's more he wants to accomplish. We will continue working with PJ and his representation to find the best situation for him moving forward. Now, PJ Tucker is a player that, playing small ball center, things like that, he's been a guy that has been productive in the playoffs for teams before. At this point, though, I don't know if PJ Tucker really has that same level of impact. And we look at him picking up his $11.5 million player option. Of course, the Clippers are going to look at that and say, what type of value is that really bringing to this team? And so, I don't know at this point what level of deal the Clippers are going to be able to get back for PJ Tucker. And even if they're looking for a player that can come back and make an impact, with as much change as the Clippers have had for their roster, this is still a team that is hoping to compete this year. And so if they're able to use that $11.5 million contract at some point, now we've seen situations like this before as well, where a team and a player don't necessarily agree, and a deal doesn't come anytime soon. So a deal for this may not materialize till closer to the trade deadline. PJ Tucker may be sitting most of the season on the bench, but this is a Clippers team that still has hopes to be able to compete this year. Now, I don't have very high hopes for the Clippers. I don't think that the Clippers, are going to go far maybe in the postseason. I do think they could win some regular season games, but they're still trying to figure that out themselves as well. So, we'll see what this brings about. But I say all that to say this. This is a time period where every team is excited. Most fan bases are looking at it and saying why their team could surprise, shock, or overachieve this year. And there are a lot of contract situations now we're pivoting to. We've heard that Jimmy Butler as well, he wants that contract. He wants that next contract with the Miami Heat, and he could be the next superstar that could be traded in some eyes. Even some people saying that they feel that he could be that next superstar that could be traded. And that's something to look around. Tim McMahon saying this: if you talk to people around the league and say, who's the next big name or star caliber player who gets traded? He said this on Brian Windhorst, and they're saying there are at least some eyes on Jimmy Butler. And a Jimmy Butler trade, depending on how that trade could go down, could be big, whether it be for the East, whether it be for the West, whether it be for Jimmy Butler. Now, this is a player who, of course, has started declining some. I think it's fair to say that Jimmy Butler isn't the defender that he once was, but he is a player that you cannot deny his heart and leadership. And if Jimmy Butler goes to the right team in the right situation, again, and Jimmy is a very specific player that the type of mindset that he has, you have to have a roster and a head coach that embraces all of that with Jimmy. And if he goes to the right situation, or they could work it out here in Miami, because I like a lot of what the Miami Heat's roster has, it could really be something interesting to watch. So there's some storylines already to watch develop as we go forth into the NBA season. Let me know down below, what are some of the biggest storylines you guys think that we should be on the watch for as the NBA season gets ready to get started? But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you guys want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything basketball related. And we'll see you guys next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.